Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you have not yet, grab yourself a cup of tea or hot cacao. I have got some right now as I'm recording. I'm actually recording from my local park. So I'm amongst the trees. The sun is setting early here. I'm in the northern hemisphere. It's almost December, everybody. So, we got to cozy up with the people we love and the people we got our eyes on. And that's why we're talking about Venus, because Venus is not only our current partner, but it may be, if we're single, the partner we're wishing to attract and to bring into our lives, right? So sit back, relax, and enjoy this Venus series. There will be timestamps in the bio below with all of the different 12 zodiacs through Venus. To begin, let's just overview the planet Venus and what it means and how I use it in my own astrology practice. As a Venusian being, I'm a Libra sun, Libra ascendant with Taurus moon. So Venus is a very close planet to me, a very, very important planet to me. And when I use my Venus energy, I feel it is very much about receiving. When you're using Venus energy, it has nothing to do with what you are doing or what action you need to take. It's all about the embodiment and the inner reception you have to the gifts and the love and the romance and the relationships and the friendships outside of you. This is a very receptive energy. So we open ourselves up with our Venus. We look at our Venus and say, how can I open myself up with this energy? How can I become more receptive to the love that is correct for me, the love that I'm designed to have? Because we all are designed to receive love. We all need love. We all need connection. That's why we all have a Venus in our chart. So nobody is meant to be alone. Nobody is meant to be forever alone or to have a terrible, turbulent relationship. You're just destined for that. No one is destined for these things that don't feel so good, right? This is Venus. This is about feeling good. We want to feel good. We want to bask in the gifts and the luxuries of life. We want to bask in our own beauty and our own gifts, right? We can look at Venus as our own beauty, our own inner gifts, how we receive money, how we give money. This is just a very abundant, beautiful planet to work with. Has a lot of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gifts to give you if you're willing to be honest with yourself about what you need, right? Because Venus is also needs. What do you need in a relationship, romantic or otherwise? What do you need from yourself, from your own self love to feel fulfilled in that Venusian energy, right? Venusian energy is it's feminine, it's yin, it has a water essence to it, right? It's watery, it's earthy, the rulerships of Venus is Libra and Taurus. We'll go into those placements very soon. Those are very natural placements, right? It's exalted in Pisces, right, which is a water sign. So we have got these very receptive relational signs that rule and exalt in this planet to just give you a really good idea of this planet. How you can work with it depends on the sign, so we're going to go into that right now. If you have not yet, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you want to. I invite you to. Helps the channel, of course. Everyone says that on all of their channels, so don't feel obliged. But if you do feel the nudge to do it, I would appreciate it. Venus in Libra. Venus is in natural rulership when in Libra, or Libra is in natural rulership when in Venus. And it's very comfortable here. Venus and Libra people tend to attract love very quickly, very easily. Also, friendships, they're really good at just talking to anybody. Very charming, witty, fun to talk to, flirtatious, charming. There's a lot of great things about Venus and Libra. Naturally, they make really good companions, partners, and friends. They tend to really know how to sync in their energy and just really be receptive to who somebody else is. It's almost like they can become a mirror. So Libra is the scales, right? It is the sign of relationships. It's in opposition to Aries. Aries is the self, Libra becomes the other. So Venus and Libra people, they kind of know how to just mirror somebody very quickly, and it's almost a subconscious thing for them. They can look at how somebody is sitting and they'll kind of shift their weight to that side that they're sitting in. They'll notice catchphrases or like a way somebody says certain words, and they'll kind of, repeat that or start speaking that way. And it's not because they don't have a sense of their own self, they just naturally know how to merge. It's such a natural merging energy for them. They love it. It's actually very, very pleasurable for a Venus in Libra and very natural for Venus and Libra to be in relationship. I would say a Venus and Libra not in a relationship is a very strong person. But I will say Venus and Libra is exalted in Saturn. So Venus and Libra, when they know what they want, they know what they want. They have high standards. They are long-term committed I almost said parents. They're long-term committed partners. Venus and Libra could be really great parents as well, just because they're very fair. They're diplomatic. They really do consider all sides of things, and Venus and Libra in that way isn't willing to always sacrifice themselves. So here's kind of where it teeters. Venus and Libra, though it's such a beautiful placement, right, pulls in very beautiful, potential resources of income. They're very usually artistic. They have some kind of craft or skill, they're working on, or just, maybe they write or something like that. But the unconscious end of Libra can be merging so deeply with somebody that they completely lose who they are. So Venus and Libra is a merging energy, and rightfully so. When Venus and Libra is in a relationship, they will merge. There's no if, ands, or buts. They will completely merge a part of their soul with that other person, part of their consciousness with that other person. There's no if or what or how it's going to happen. And so Venus and Libra, you have to be very careful, because a lot of people want you. A lot of people like your energy. They like the way that you make them feel. And a lot of people want a part of that. And you can accidentally become codependent rather than interdependent onto people, and lose your identity and lose who you are. I've seen this quite a few times with Venus and Libra, because they quickly, like I said, it's a merging energy. So they'll quickly latch onto their partner's identity, how their partner is loving them, and they'll take that as, oh, this is who I am. So it's really important for Venus and Libra to, take a step back and be your biggest advocate just as well. Relationships are meant to be fair. So be fair onto yourself and be fair onto the other. Venus and Libra can be sharp sometimes. Venus and Libra isn't afraid to end a relationship when they know they have to, but it's not a pleasant thing for them. It will hurt them just as much as it hurts you, genuinely. Very kind-hearted people. They really do take on the feelings, emotions, thoughts of others, and they really do consider that other person's perspective. So when you have a Venus and Libra partner, they can be very patient. They can be very diplomatic. You might notice they have a lot of admirers or friends. But just trust your Venus and Libra person. If a Venus and Libra person is committed, they will commit to you. That's the hard thing about Venus and Libra, is it is the scales. So they have to learn how to bring harmony in all aspects of their life, because this is such a natural, they naturally are pulling in friendships and potential lovers and all these things, and opportunities, and all these things. They're pulling it in so naturally, just such a natural Venus placement to receive love and goodness and beauty. So that inner harmony this is where the inner harmony comes. Your relationship should bring more harmony to your life. And you want to ask yourself, why, if it isn't, why is it not? Right? Because Venus and Libra people, their relationships, when they're not in harmony, can feel very chaotic. They can feel like they're a mess. They can lose their grip on their goals, on what they want in life. It's very easy for the Venus and Libra to tip the scales and go way too far to, oh, my partner's the perfect partner, I love them so much, and then tip all the way back, well, they're not treating me right, I don't like that they did this. Like, they do really weigh it out. And if a Venus and Libra doesn't get realistic, right? Connect with that Saturn aspect of Libra and get realistic that this is just another person just like you, and they have just as much work to do in their lives as you. So just because maybe one day you're happy and they're sad, that doesn't mean that you have to be sad, but that also doesn't mean that they have to be happy, right? So Venus and Libra can have a little bit of a hard time with this, just recognizing and being realistic about the differences in people and the necessary differences that are needed for growth and for self-development within the relationship. Though Venus and Libra, like I said, is willing to grow for their partner. If their partner is fair to them and communicative, right? This is an air sign, so communication is very, very important to Venus and Libra. They have to talk about and discuss pretty much everything if they can. They very much enjoy it. It brings them a lot of stimulation and a sense of connection with the other person. If they have a partner that can really sit down, hear how they're feeling, hear what they're thinking, hear about what they're creating, they love talking. They really do love talking. Communication, art, poetry, these kind of things they love to share with the person they love and their friends. Even in their community, they can these people can make money by being authors, writers, critics, things like that, reviewers. They can pull in resources simply by expressing their ideas and their art. Songwriters, right? Venus and Libra is a very, very beautiful placement for these kind of things. And they have to learn that they don't always need the validation of their partner to go and do those things. So Venus and Libra, your partner should be empowering you and pushing you forward to love yourself. It's not in the same way where Venus and Aries likes to be challenged and pushed, and there's a little bit more of an aggressive challenge there that they have to meet head on. It's more of a very light, kind, lovingly suggestive, right? Venus and Libra likes a very kind, loving, soft, gentle person. They don't really like people that are abrupt or messy or chaotic, or takers, or people that have they don't mind people with pasts or anything like that. Even though Libra is the sign of judgment, most Libras are very fair in the way they judge, especially Venus and Libra. They will be fair with you. Doesn't necessarily mean they'll take you on as their partner. They have to really weigh it out, back to weighing it out. But what I am saying is Venus and Libra likes kind, soft, gentle people that know how to mentally make them aware of themselves. They need the person to really explain things from a neutral perspective. They don't like feeling attacked. They don't like the idea of conflict in any way. Similar to Venus and Taurus, right? Both rulership signs, but it's different in the way that Venus and Libra is very willing to communicate about it, and they love it. They love the communication of it, but it's how you communicate it to them. You have to be very particular in your wording and in the way that you speak to them, because they are very thoughtful when they speak to you, and they're very thoughtful when they speak to others. They're very, very considerate people. So if you're not considerate of them, and you're not, taking the time to get to communicate to them in their love language, then it can kind of feel like there's this something missing in their love life, right? They just really, really crave that mentalness of an air sign, right? Being in the Venus, it's just that back and forth. They like that harmony of like, hey, how was your day? Oh, my day was so good. Oh, cool. Do you want to go to dinner now? Yeah, I would love dinner. You get home from dinner. Oh, I'm going to start some tea, honey. Oh, great. I'll start a movie. They just like that flow, that harmony where it's like you both get each other. It's natural, and you can just kind of bounce off each other back and forth, and it's just this constant reception, right? This is the most natural back and forth energy that a person can experience in love. And I've noticed Venus and Libra, they are idealists in love, but it's because they actually do attract really beautiful experiences of love. They will attract movie-like experiences, like the experiences we all hope and dream for, which is, the pouring in the rain example again, right? It's pouring in the rain, running to each other, or spontaneous meetings at like a beach. I've had my I've definitely fell in love with a Venus in Libra, and it was one of the best loves of my entire life. I have a couple really good friends that are Venus and Libra too, and although it's friendship, in the friendship as well, very reciprocal, very much give and take. They're very in tune with what they give. They're very in tune with what they take. It's never going to be unfair with a Venus in Libra. The only time it will be unfair with a Venus in Libra is when a Venus in Libra needs to take more responsibility for their end of the relationship. So there's this is the hard part for the Venus in Libra, is knowing when it's their partner that needs to do the work and knowing when it's them that needs to do the work in the relationship. They can kind of go back and forth, like I was saying. It's kind of the unconscious or harder part of having a Venus in Libra is, sometimes Venus in Libra really does have to put their foot down and stop going back and forth, blaming themselves, blaming the other person, and they really need to just take responsibility for what they're feeling right now and communicate that. Because they will go back and forth in their head when they're having a conflict or having an issue with somebody. This is very funny, because I'm a Libra sun as well, so this is just a very Libran, right? But Venus in Libra, especially in relationships, they will go back and forth until the sun falls down or falls out of the sky. It's insane sometimes, and they really need to get out of their heads, go into your heart, Venus in Libra, and know that what you feel is true and that nothing in your mind can take that away. So sometimes you just have to communicate that, and that's the harder part, again, is they don't like conflict. They really avoid it at all costs, and they will actually attract, when a Venus in Libra is not aware of this Venus in Libra energy, they will attract unconsciously avoidant partners, right? And then they'll have, issues, and they'll wonder, like, why is my partner, like, why does my partner disappear when I need them the most? Stuff like that, right? They'll attract these things because it's reflecting back to them their own inner avoidance, their own fear of speaking what's true to them and standing up for what they feel, and really putting, it's that Libra exaltation Saturn. It's really putting it down and saying, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is how I'm feeling, what are you feeling? And then taking that other person just as seriously. And then really sitting with both, right? It's about sitting with both. And Venus and Libra, this is your mastery. Relationships are a mastery in your lifetime. You are here to really master the art of a beautiful, harmonious relationship, because you can have just that, like the most ideal, beautiful, harmonious, like you really can have it in this lifetime 100,000%. And I encourage you to strive for that, but not in a way that is blaming or judging others or judging people as unworthy. Your partner, makes a mistake, and maybe you guys are out on a date and what's a good example? Maybe you're out on a date and your partner forgets to open the door for you, or little things like that. So a Libra Venus, they like these kind of little gestures. It's very important to them, and they'll take notice because it lights them up. It makes them feel like, ooh, and just as much as they like to be courted, they love to court. So, but it's not holding people to Judgment Day every time they make a little mistake, especially if you've got some hard oppositions to your Libra Venus, or maybe you've got some particular squares with your Saturn square Venus, Venus in Libra, you're a beautiful lover. And there's that. You're a creative person. There's that. You have a lot to say. You have a lot to express it. And whoever is the correct partner, the correct person, is going to encourage and help you expand on that. And all you have to do is be honest with yourself and be honest with the people you love about what you're truly thinking and feeling, and be able to find that that part of you that is ashamed for, not being perfect, not being like Libra, because Libra and Venus has such beautiful energy, that, and they know that they're great lovers. They have such awareness that they are great lovers and great friends. They know it, and they know they have a lot to give. But Libra Venus, don't be so hard on yourself when it comes to love. And maybe you make a mistake. Maybe you ended up with the wrong person. Maybe you thought one person was going to be your forever and they're not. Things like that. It's okay to, make mistakes in love, which is so hard for Venus and Libra. It's okay for you to make mistakes in love, and for you to have to learn about romance and yourself over time. And there's no such thing as a wasted relationship with Venus and Libra, especially. There's no such thing as a wasted time with a person. Relationships are bread and butter for you. They are nourishing in every single way. They teach you so much, and they're very, very gratifying and soul fulfilling. So go ahead and explore, but be honest about what you're feeling. And if you need a partner that can hear exactly how you're feeling, exactly what you're needing, what you're wanting, but you need a partner that's also just as communicative, that can, tell you just what's on their mind, and be open to that. Be open to finding that harmony between two people and really coming into one. Because if oneness is a concept in spirituality, then Venus and Libra, that is something that you're here to master, is that true feeling of oneness while in relationship with people. You really have that beautiful heart of yours to do it. So, be patient with yourself, finding your person, but also be open to the conflict and sometimes the rough around the edges aspects of relationships, and be sure that you can just communicate anything and everything, and be clear with yourself about how you're thinking. And like I said, if you're going back and forth, weighing out the options, sometimes that's part of your process. Sometimes you need to weigh it out. You need to go back and forth. You need to feel things out now, feel things out later. That's okay. But what I'm saying is, you can attract and bring in very beautiful experiences, beautiful people, fashion, very important to Venus and Libra. They're very fashionable. They usually are dressed nice, even if it's a little understated. They have this beauty in their face, and their eyes and they tend to have such loving eyes. When they're listening to somebody, they really are hearing them and feeling them. It's just such a beautiful Venus sign, and I can't almost say anything negative about it. I don't want to say anything negative about any of the signs, but this sign in particular doesn't have too many downsides to it. It is just such a positive placement. Obviously, you have to look at the whole chart, squares and oppositions, and then what house this is in. But other than that, yeah, beautiful placement. Can attract so much beauty to them. Fun, good banter, good humor, good chat. Just keep creating, Venus and Libra. We really want to see your art more and more. You are an artist through and through. So that's Venus and Libra. All right, Venus and Scorpio. Oh, Venus and Scorpio. Do you feel that change after Libra? Whew. Can we take a pause and I commend Venus and Scorpios, truly. I have a lot of respect for Venus and Scorpios personally. because they did not sign up when they chose their charts in the oversoul self as they were descending cosmically into their mother's womb to be born and to their astrology. They did not choose an easy contract, an easy karmic lesson with that. Scorpio is known for the karma that that sign tends to have. It's a transformative sign ruled by Pluto, traditionally by Mars. Can be a bit aggressive, but Venus in Scorpio is extremely sexual. They're very sexual. They have a keen sense for they love fluids. They love they love spit. They love swapping. They love it's just something about swapping fluids really turns them on. I don't know what it is, but it just really gets them going. They love this idea of my body is your body. There's no difference between our bodies. Like, let's swap everything about us and just be gross and sexy and everything together. It's a very sexual sign. They don't shy away oftentimes from sexual experiences. They're very explorative. So in early life, Venus in Scorpio tends to have an array of sexual experiences, whether it's through different dynamics of monogamy or casual dating or having multiple partners at once. I've seen it does depend on the sun sign as well, but a Sag sun with Scorpio Venus may be extremely explorative and have multiple partners at once, something like that. But then we might see like a Scorpio Venus with a Capricorn Mars, and this person could actually be rather conservative with their sexual energy. They might be a freak with their one partner, but they take it very seriously. So there's different ways this could show. Venus in Scorpio, I love the fact that they know what they want. It's Plutonic Mars energy, so they know what they want. When somebody turns them on, when somebody just gets something going in them, they want to either ravage or be ravaged. It's this feeling of, yeah, you're mine. It's almost like Venus and Scorpio in the dating world can be a little bit like predatory, or like they're hunting for this feeling of this deep sexual a feeling that they can only feel with that person. And like I said, they usually have a vast array of sexual experiences. So they do have this power in their sexuality to pull in very, very different kinds of sexual energy. So sometimes they do like very like slow, deep sexual experiences. Sometimes they like the erotic, chaotic one-time meeting, and that really does something for them. It's like they get to explore their own psyche through their sexual relationships with people. It can be karmic in the way that sexual energy is creative energy, it's life force energy, right? It's basically the only energy on earth that creates more organic life. So Venus in Scorpio has to be a little bit careful and sometimes a little bit more conservative than they actually are, in my opinion, with their sexual energy, just because they're so powerful, right? Venus and Scorpio, when they're in the right union, in the correct union, when they are, in the sexual relationship of their deepest energetic desires, they can create worlds. They can become very, very powerful. Pluto is power, right? Scorpio is power. So they can become very financially powerful through their sexual partner, through their romantic partner, through their marriage. Venus in Scorpio is also known for divorce. Not because they want to be divorced, but because they are so tied to somebody else's deep subconscious psyche and that person's karma. They tend to clear other people's karma through their sexual energy just by sharing it with them. And then when that person has become cleared of that karma that they were meant to go through as the Venus and Scorpio's partner, things start to fade off, or things get chaotic, or the Venus in Scorpio is just not as turned on as they was, not as excited, not feeling as secure. So Venus in Scorpio, fixed sign, they can stay in relationships really long. Like I said, they can also partner swap. It kind of just depends on what they want. They're very independent. They're very, very independent in love. They know that they're wanted. They know what they want. So it's not really a matter of sticking around because they feel trapped, or because which that can happen with Venus and Scorpio. They can feel psychologically trapped. They can feel it's not they maybe even financially trapped at times, but for sure psychologically trapped. Sometimes they feel like this person is the only person that knows me for who I am, and they kind of put this, and it's unconscious. So they'll do this unconscious thing where it's like, this person means this to my identity, and they'll very much attach to that, and then they'll reinforce it through continuing to stay in that relationship. So if a Venus in Scorpio is ever confused about a particular relationship, sometimes it is good to take a break from exchanging sexual energy, or from even dating. A Venus in Scorpio that is completely celibate is very rare, and it's not a bad thing. They are meant to be it's such an emphasis on sexuality, because it's a part of their mission, of their karma here, is to understand the feeling and the sensation of desire. They're learning how to channel this energy of desire and deep sexual energy that they're just born with, and they're learning how to channel it and to use it as a form of mastery to create whatever they want, which is a very powerful contract. It's a very, very powerful mission. But do they always complete it in this lifetime? No, not always. But when they do, this person, can become a millionaire with their partner. They can own multiple businesses with their partner. They can really create whatever they want with their partner. They love being in partnership, right? It's the sign after Libra. They still love it. They love being in partnership. It just brings out this part of themselves that they just can't explain. Sometimes it's wild. Sometimes it's just a very secure feeling. That, it depends on the Venus and Scorpio and why they're choosing to stay in that relationship. But I do urge Venus and Scorpio to take a really honest look at your deep psychology behind why you're staying in a particular relationship. Okay? And this is gonna be the hard truths, right? This is Pluto. So Pluto it can be hard truths. And so sometimes you have to be honest. I'm only with them because of their money, and sit with that, and be okay with that. Sometimes you have to accept the darker truths of why you're in a relationship, or the perceived darker truth. Not always a negative thing, just it is what it is. I'm with them because I don't think I can do any better, and I have this subconscious block that if I leave them, that I'll be alone forever, and I can't deal with being alone, and I'm afraid of being alone, and I feel like nobody else understands me. And you can go in circles. Like Venus and Scorpio can go in a lot of downward spiral circles when they're doing this work, this inner work. So it's really important for them to have somebody to collaborate with on their healing, whether it's a therapist, a counselor, or maybe their partner is at that point where they can hold space for them, so they can be super honest and be, maybe you have a partner that is doing the inner work with you, because as a Venus and Scorpio, and you can tell them, hey, I'm having a fear come up right now because you got home late last night from work, and that made me feel insecure, and I would really like if you could affirm me, or please give me confirmation again now of what you were doing, even though you told me already. I would literally want to hear it again, and stuff like that. Like Venus Scorpio is very sensitive to their partners. Even if they're having multiple partners, they're sensitive to all of them. They're very quick to psychologically tune in, but it can be an all or nothing energy. So sometimes similar to 3-line energy in human design, it can be like bonds made, bonds broken if you're into human design. So if things end with a Venus and Scorpio friendship or romance, it's not always ideal. Like Venus and Libra is probably going to try to keep it cordial. They might stay friends with their exes. Venus and Scorpio once you're their ex, and they probably don't want much to do with you, or maybe they have hidden feelings still, or maybe they just still feel like a psychological trigger from you that they just never could really put their finger on. It really depends. It really depends on the chart. And just to let you guys know, I do offer chart readings, natal chart readings. I offer 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour over phone call and or Zoom, and I also do written astrology reports. So I'll put more info in the bio below. But if you're liking my videos and you're liking this content, and please, message me and let's schedule something. Venus and Scorpio, and it's so funny because Venus and Scorpio, like I said, they are very like money is a very sexual thing for them. So when they're when they're sharing money, it like it can do something to them. When somebody gives them money, it can do something to them. And for some people it might seem incorrect or wrong for them to be honest about this, but it's the truth. It's the truth. They love this idea of interweaving all of the most important parts of their lives with yours, so that it's like, if I get broken, you're just as broken. And it's not even, they don't even have that thought. I'm not saying they think like that. I'm saying it just is at that level of seriousness sometimes with them. Even in friendships, it can be that high stakes. Like Scorpio Venus sometimes likes high stakes relationships where it's kind of like they have to, give up their home and move across the country, or maybe this person, has a bank account that they share together. Like they like that kind of stuff. It's very important to them. They actually really value security over time. And Venus and Scorpio will stay in cycles. So this is kind of the downfall of Venus and Scorpio, and it has a similar essence to the Venus in Cancer, but a little bit more intense, a little bit more raw, can be more aggressive in how it shows up in the Venus and Scorpio's life. But, there can be such thing as cycle fights. There can also be just, cycles of like, a passionate fight, have amazing sex, and then do it again and do it again. And they're prone to these cycles. It's very addictive to them. Scorpio can be known for addiction. So they can get into some addictive behaviors and patterns just because there might be some kind of payoff for them in the kind of pain pleasure realm that they like to edge on. they love that pain pleasure edge. I really do commend them for it. They're very strong people. They will hold it down for their lovers. They'll hold it down for the people they love. They love sharing though. Like if this is your friend or even a family member, because I have a couple family members with this actually. They love sharing. They love giving. It also just brings them joy, because Venus is just joy and collaboration just as much. So even if it's not their partner and they're not doing this, the more intimate things, the for them sharing their resources is extremely intimate. So Venus and Scorpio might not be super talkative. They might be very intense, but it's because they have a lot to give and a lot to share with others, and they value shared resources. It's a very intimate thing for them, and they will work very hard to give to the people they love, and or they just find it like easy for them. They don't even have to work hard for it sometimes. Like most of the time they really don't have to, just because if they're in the correct partnership or in the correct business partnerships or whatever kind of partnership they are with their work or their job, it kind of just comes effortless to them, really. They know how to collect resources, and just as much they know how to share it. It's kind of innate to them. Not always as much, right? The opposition is Venus and Taurus. Venus and Taurus can hold on to their material things and be very conservative about sharing things, and they will wait sometimes years to share their wealth with a partner. Whereas Venus and Scorpio is a bit more giving, but be careful, Venus and Scorpio. Don't give with conditions unless you're clear about the conditions you're giving under. Because if you're subconsciously giving and then expecting something but never voicing that, that's where you can fall into a trap of feeling betrayed, feeling hurt, feeling unreciprocated, things like that. So Venus and Scorpio, I love this energy. I feel like Venus and Scorpio is really a boss. They could be managers at times, not like a Venus and Virgo manager, but more of an empowering kind of manager. They can be a boss, a business owner. Venus and Scorpios might do some kind of sex work, which is not a negative thing. It might just come natural to them. It kind of just depends. They also just, they love the sensual world. So it's a really great place for an intense wild ride of romance. But yeah, not everyone's cut out for the intensity of Venus and Scorpio, I'll be honest. So if you're Venus and Scorpio, or you're loving a Venus and Scorpio, this is a transformation that this relationship that you're in, or the relationship you're in with this Venus and Scorpio, this is going to transform your entire life. Whether or not you can, as a Venus and Scorpios can't be attached to an outcome with relationships. They can want to get married, and they can get married and things like that. But ultimately, you can't be too attached to a particular outcome, because no matter what, either while in the relationship or after the relationship ends, you are going to be a different person. You're going to come out of that relationship transformed. You're not going to be the same. You're going to look back at the beginning before you met that person, and you're going to be like, who the hell was I? I'm a completely different person. And that's natural. You're actually meant to go into these deep psychological, spiritual, sometimes mystical experiences through relationships that transform you. And whether or not that relationship transforms with you as you transform, it really depends on your soul contract with that person ultimately, right? So that's Venus and Scorpio. Gotta love them. Venus in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is Jupiter ruled. Sagittarius is all about travel and philosophy, but when Jupiter is in the Venus sign, this is an extremely expansive, adventurous, fun placement. First of all, if you can even catch a Venus in Sagittarius, because they're fast, they might flash into your life really quick, and you might have a great time with them at a party or festival, or you meet them through a mutual friend and just have this amazing night, and then you don't know where they go, right? They're fast. They're very quick to just keep going and to shift and to expand. They don't really hold on to much. They're just more of like, I want more. It's like they want more love, they want more adventure, and they just have this very natural yearning and a need for more. They know that they can have this really larger than life party of a life, and they can really become just infatuated by beautiful things, lavish parties, sexual experiences. They really love it, and for better or for worse, right? But I have seen Venus and Sagittarius, right? I have seen a Venus and Sagittarius really love somebody and want to settle down with them. But it has to be a person that can really catch up with them. I've noticed if a Venus Sagittarius is very independent, it's not a very collaborative energy like Venus is. It kind of sometimes is for Venus and Sag my way or the highway, and they don't do it on purpose. It's not like they're trying to be bossy or anything like that. It's more of just like they really are on this spiritual journey through life and through receiving love, and you really can't stop a Venus and Sagittarius, because Venus and Sagittarius will make quote unquote mistakes, but to them it's not mistakes. They just kind of move on from it and keep going and dust the dust off their back and keep going, because life is an adventure, love is an adventure, friendship is an adventure. This is where Venus and Sagittarius can feel a little bit harsh for some people. It's not extremely compatible with like Capricorn, sometimes Taurus, things like that. It can be a little bit, especially in romance, it can be a little bit flaky, flighty, and I'm not trying to come down on Venus and Sag. Venus and Sag is very fun. Like I said, they love philosophizing with the people they love. They will have sometimes they'll have very spiritual, like high ecstasy experiences with somebody, like on top of the world, very Jupiterian, and they'll just change somebody's life in one night through just like, being with them or whatever happens, right? They can change people's lives pretty quickly. But the Venus and Sag can get a little cagey, right? Because Venus is traditionally ruled by Taurus and Libra. So Taurus is Earth, right? And then Libra is traditionally exalted in Saturn. So, there can feel like relationships can sometimes feel like they kind of can feel binding, or they kind of bound that person up, the Venus and Sag person. They can just feel sometimes like underwhelming or overwhelming, or make them, like I said, cagey, kind of like sometimes Venus and Sag will avoid labels for a while just because they don't like labels holding them back from what they like and what they want. So anything that a Venus and Sag wants is kind of what they're gonna have, and it's because they know they can have it all, and they know that there's a lot to explore. So Venus and Sag is kind of really lucky in this way because they will attract, romances that are like on top of the world, or like sexual experiences that are one of a kind, or they'll attract a lot of money for no particular reason, just because they know they want it and they can have it. And this can be kind of an entitled energy. This is kind of a shadow of it, is this can be a very respectable, somebody that's very respectable, that's very humbled, that's been, they've been through some things, they've had some journeys, they've had some travels, they have stories to tell about what they learned. But usually a Venus and Sag, I would say probably after the Saturn return, would be more of that energy of, humbled. They're kind of in their higher Sag energy of like having stories to tell. They've kind of learned about what they want in love and what they want in life a little bit more. But Venus and Sag before that is very experimental. Experimental in a way that can feel harsh for others and feel a little bit brash and disconnected. And it's not because the Venus and Sag is trying to be that way. It's just because they are living their life. And not everybody is going to live it the same way or want the same things. Venus and Sag doesn't really have any boundaries or limitations, right? Jupiter is no limits. So they will push all limits. They will push all expectations and all boundaries to see how far they can go. And this could be in a physical reality, this could be with multiple partners, or this could be like the depth of a relationship, the spiritual depth. They could be very tantric. Venus Scorpio can be very tantric as well, but they can be very tantric. They want to maybe get inside the mind, maybe share a philosophy with somebody, and you'll go into these deep kind of trances, things like trance states and stuff like that psychedelic experiences. Like they can be very prone and attracted to these kind of things just because it really takes them to another world in a relationship, and they want that. They want to be taken to another world, another realm, another life through their love, through their relationship, even through their friendships. They know they can have it, and that's why Venus in Sag, I think after the Saturn return, it is a little bit less angsty and quick to go to the next thing, because they have to kind of, during their Saturn return, they kind of have to bask into the chaos they did or didn't have to go through or created. It could be either way. A Venus and Sag can have gone through these intensely expansive loves and intense loss. It can be a crazy, wild story, the one-of-a-kind story you've never even heard somebody go through. Like, oh my gosh, what? Like, a Venus and Sag can tell you, like, oh, yeah, I was on the Eiffel Tower about to skydive, and I right when I was about to drop, my skydiver instructor or whatever told me I had beautiful eyes, and then we just went together. And when we landed, he asked me to brunch, and then he told me that he lost his son, and we both cried together that night, and we were inseparable. Like, they'll have these wild stories about love and romance and the adventure of it that nobody else could ever tell you. It's like so such novel stories, and very intense. So for better or for worse, they get to their after their Saturn return, or get to their Saturn return, and they have this time to either reflect, apologize, or get apologies, or forgive or be forgiven. It's a time to clean up that Jupiterian no limits, no boundaries kind of love, because Saturn really puts Venus in Sag in their place at that point, so then they can come out and be the wise, humble, like expansive Venus and Sag lover if they choose to be, right? They're still going to crave very existential, high loving experiences with this is a sign that a placement that I could see prone to like polyamory and things like that, like sharing partners, or like it could be natural for them. They don't really see a reason why not to. They might even enjoy it more. They feel like there's more than enough to go around, because they're just such exuberant lovers, high sex drive. So very fun placement, but very wild. Depending on the chart and the aim, right? Because Sagittarius is like the centaur that has the arch, is like the archer as well. So what is your aim, Venus and Sagittarius? What are you aiming towards? Do you have some kind of spiritual or philosophical backing behind your relationships, and the way that you love, and the way that you make love, and the way that you make money? And it's actually very important for Venus and Sagittarius to create some kind of spiritual philosophy that they live behind, and they live on top of as a foundation to just lessen the hurt that they may receive, or the hurt they could give onto others by accident. They don't mean to. It's just such an expansive adventure of relationships and fun, right? They're gonna have Venus Sagittarius will have many different kinds of friends, maybe from all different parts of the world. They get along with anybody. They're like I said, quick to come, quick to go. They're on their journey, and nobody can hold them down besides themselves. It's going to be very beneficial for you to sit down and ask yourself, what belief systems are backing my relationship? So if you believe in twin flames, you might be on this epic twin flame journey. If you believe that my body is my body and I can express it and share it with anybody, then you might have multiple partners. But you want to just take an inventory and own what you believe in. Too excited. It's a fire sign. It's mutable. These gonna go through many different phases of love, different intensities, different flings, passions, affairs. Venus and Sagittarius could be, apt to multiple marriages, many marriages, possibly. Things like that. So Venus and Sagittarius, love is an adventure, romance is an adventure. Go have fun out there, and tell us all about your stories, because it is part of your spiritual growth. It truly is. Love and romance is part of that spiritual growth, and that endless, infinite spiritual journey that you will forever be on. And I love Venus and Sag that can come out of their Saturn return and share all of the wisdom and alchemize all of that crazy turbulence into gold. That is what we want. That is what we want from you. So I love Venus and Sag. Can be really great friends. You'll always have a story to tell when you're with a Venus and Sag. So just like I said, be a little bit more conscientious of the beliefs backing your actions, and go out there. The world really is yours. That's Venus and Sag. Venus in Capricorn. Venus in Capricorn. When Venus is in Capricorn, there is such a grounding energy these people have. It's not fickle and it's not fixed. It's a cardinal sign. So in Venus, in relationships, Venus and Capricorn, they make really great lifelong partners, but they don't make it easy to get to that point with them. They've got a lot to accomplish in this life. They have a lot of business endeavors they want to go on and try, and it kind of can be an insatiable thirst sometimes for them, for this feeling of success, right? Sometimes they can put success and a material gain over their relationships, or they can have this belief that, well, if I'm materially successful, then my relationship can be successful. And that's not a bad thing or a good thing. It just kind of is what it is. The Venus in Capricorn partner just needs to understand that these people mean business. They've got big plans. They want to make a lot of money. They want to make some kind of mark on the world, and their love and their relationship will probably be a part of that. So it's a little bit like Venus in Virgo in the way that they like working with their partners. They like owning businesses with their partners. They don't mind monotony at times, but traditionally the sea goat. This is also a very deeply psychic and karmic placement. So Venus and Capricorn can get married early sometimes, or have families early, or maybe they kind of know who their lifelong partner is early on in life. And this is really going to, for Venus and Capricorn, the Saturn return is really key for all of your relationships. It's going to be kind of the dawning of a new era to the next level of what you're going to create through your love and through the people that you've chosen to love and receive love from, and you've chosen to take with you. Because Venus in Capricorn is a highly valuable partner and friend. They have actually a lot of resources and money, sometimes hidden, or they don't know about that's coming because they still have to work for it. It really can depend, but it always is in spirit for Venus in Capricorn. They are destined for greatness. They are destined for very high wealth. But they have to create that structures in the relationship. So the relationship has to be supportive of them building and growing materially. So it's not that they're materialistic and they are greedy, though that can be kind of an unconscious side of Venus Capricorn is greed. But it's just because they have this inertia in them, this pressure to provide and to give and to have a lot. Sometimes it's because, they didn't have a lot growing up. Usually Venus in Capricorn, the father is missing, or the father is lacking in some kind of financial area. So Venus in Capricorn, looks at their father figure or the male figures in their life and chooses not to be like them. If they want to break the cycle and do something they've never seen before, well, this is your chance in this lifetime, Venus in Capricorn. And it feels like a lot of pressure, because they're breaking a huge ancestral cycle, specifically for the paternal or more masculine lineage of their bloodline. It can show up in the mother sometimes. That is possible, but no matter what, money was kind of not hard to come by, but a difficult concept to grapple with when young. There was, possibly some kind of big moment of your reality breaking apart, or your finances breaking apart, and or some kind of inheritance came in, which it would be a little bit rare with Venus and Capricorn, just because they have such a legacy to build by themselves that their soul contracts don't usually come with inheritance until later on in life, and that can be through their usually it also maybe is they receive the gifts of their labor, that they because there is this sense of having to go uphill. They're kind of on this uphill battle with their resources and with their money and with their love. And it's not because they want it to be a battle. It feels that difficult sometimes, because they hold a lot on their shoulders, for their partners and their loved ones and their families. They're very connected to their families and their ancestry, whether they're conscious or unconscious of it. They hold a lot of responsibility, and they have this inner knowing that they want to give more, and that's why they're so they really are so tender. They truly are. So Venus Capricorn is kind of like the giant teddy bear kind of metaphor. They might come off like, hard, or, they got a lot to do. I'm busy. I'm a business person, or whatever their facade is, whatever, because they've got goals. They've got a lot of ambitions, and it does bring a lot of nourishment and happiness in their lives, whether or not they can admit it to themselves sometimes. But they really are teddy bears. They will make people, their family, not quickly, but over time. It is like they have a lot to prove, so sometimes it feels like people feel around the Venus and Capricorn like they have to prove a lot to them. Just because Venus and Capricorn just has this very high success mentality, or this internal pressure or inertia for, like, I'm meant for more, like a legacy of some sort. So this person can be like, have maybe like a lot of suns. It's like a masculine energy. I'm picking up. It's like a lot of sons, or maybe even like daughters that are also like, fire signs or things like that. Venus and Capricorn also, like, their partner needs to be okay with the Venus and Capricorn, taking their time and being guarded at times, because they're emotional. They're very emotional, right? Their relationship and their foundation and how they make money, it really affects them emotionally. Then they will not be honest about it. They will keep it to themselves for as long as they can, because sometimes they feel like if they admit to their partner their weaknesses, that it takes away all of their strength. Because Venus and Capricorn just has this natural responsibility to their partner and to their loved ones to be very strong and to be very solid. But this can be the downfall of the Venus and Capricorn, is, looking at their weaknesses as they lose their worthiness or their value in the relationship or in their friendships. It's okay to have your down days. It's okay to have your failures. So Venus and Capricorn, if anyone knows failure and having to try again and again and to keep going forward up that hill, it's you. And you have to also apply this kind of inertia for your relationships, Venus and Capricorn, because your relationships need it just as much, and they need you. Sometimes it almost feels like you need to fight for your relationship, and not fight in a Mars way, but fight in a Saturn way. Be mature about it, because you can make a great wife or husband or spouse, and you can make a great business partner as well. But be honest with yourself when you're not feeling strong enough to hold the weight of everything you're holding. Sometimes it is good to drop a project or start anew. This is a cardinal sign, so new beginnings. Sometimes new beginnings are what you need, maybe moving locations, or, just changing business plans, or even doing just something new with your partner, something different, something partner building, right? Something constructive for your relationship, because Venus and Capricorn will be very constructive in their work, but in their relationships, they kind of just feel like, oh, well, my relationship should just kind of complement sometimes naturally what I'm already doing, which is not always the case. You have to, take that effort and that time, meditate together, create some kind of spiritual atmosphere. Capricorn is actually more spiritual than what most people think. But they really like tangible results. Capricorn does in general. So that's why sometimes Capricorn placements will ignore the spirituality of things, even though they feel such a call to have that. it's because sometimes they don't see it right away, and it can be frustrating. So, but I promise you, Venus and Capricorn, meditating together, you know, journaling things out together, taking time to read together, these constructive building things, that, are going to help your inner worlds together, is very, very beautiful and very beneficial in the long run. So you might not see the results right away, but your relationship is meant to be slow like honey. You're going to see the results of your happiness more and more when you take that time to put in the effort in those little constructive ways. And don't ignore the spirituality in your relationship, because Venus and Capricorn, and Capricorn in general, like I was saying, they are quick to ignore sometimes the spiritual intuitions and feelings and things like that, because it's not tangible, and it's an earth sign. It's very tangible. It's Saturn. They want it in the real world. They want it embodied. But I promise you that it will change the chemistry of your mind. When you meditate every day, it increase your dopamine. It will make chemical changes, breath work, things like that. And do it with your partner, right? Because your partner is most likely very open to you and to what you want, just because Venus Capricorn is such a natural leader in their relationships, and they know how to create boundaries and structures for the relationship to feel safe, which is another gift of the sign. It's very grounding. It's very loving. It can be very, they naturally attract kindred spirits, karmic. They came here to finish karmic debts in relationships, specifically, like I said, towards their paternal or masculine lineage, to break a cycle financially, and or to just prove to themselves that they can succeed in ways that they never believed were possible, but only them can prove it to themselves. And the partner, like I said, just be patient with Venus and Capricorn. They need a lot of patience, because it can be kind of a hard-headed energy, not because they're hateful or they're resentful, but just because they really do need to take things at their own pace, and they have to have their own inner worlds explored to an extent to start sharing it with you, because they have a very deep love, and they really do love people for life. When they do choose somebody, it's like lifetimes. It's like you're locked in. That's Saturn energy. You're locked in. So Venus and Capricorn, kind, can be very generous. Though the shadow of it can be greed. Just as much, Venus and Capricorn can be very generous. They can buy their mom. This Venus and Capricorn is the type to finish their Saturn return and to have worked really hard in their 20s and come out at 33 and just buy their mom a house, or pay 6 months rent for their best friend that got them through tough times that they had to couch surf on, right? They don't forget the favors and the things that you did for them to help them build and grow. They don't forget. And it does weigh on them sometimes, because they will sometimes carry a little bit of a guilt about it. But Capricorn and Venus, don't be guilty. Relationships are meant to lean on one another. You're meant to lean on people sometimes, emotionally or financially or spiritually, and sometimes people are going to lean on you for that stuff. So it's learning give and take, and that it's a serious learning lesson, and it's going to be frustrating sometimes, because sometimes you just want things your way, or you're stuck in a certain way of how things were. But don't be afraid to change, and to take your time making those changes, right? It's consistent things, right? Venus Capricorn, you learn a lot from Venus and Virgo, or just Virgo energy in general. Just knowing that repetitive, right, repetition and routines and things like that are going to help you build that foundation, and that success that you want and that you crave, and that brings you some kind of it's kind of pleasure, to an extent. It's a different kind of pleasure that not many people understand, but it's only you'll get it. Venus and Capricorn gets it. It's kind of they working their asses off for 5 years straight, putting their heads down, not talking to anyone, but also just being honest and just being true to themselves and their business, and then coming out on the other side and making 6-figure months. And just really fucking just being wow, I just did that. That's the Venus and Capricorn, and they just take it's really let yourself have your wins, and you can have your daily wins, and you can have your yearly wins, but celebrate yourself, Venus and Capricorn, because you can be a little hard on yourself, like Venus and Virgo, but sometimes even a little harder. So just be tender and loving as you are, and you know that you are, and you can't go wrong. Venus and Capricorn. Venus in Aquarius. Aquarius in itself is an eccentric, unique, novel kind of sign. It's a contradictory sign always because it, is traditionally ruled by Saturn, but over time we've used Uranus now as Aquarius's prime ruler. Aquarius Venus is very funny. They're very funny in relationships, and they're not funny in a way that they are humorous. They're literally trying to be humorous. They're funny in the way that relationships are something that isn't necessarily difficult for them. I'll put it like this. Venus and Aquarius has a lot of friends. They're very good at friendships. They understand platonic love. They understand, having space and distance. They understand boundaries. They really get like mental understandings. They really are really good at those kind of things with people. And they're very open-minded to all kinds of people. Venus and Aquarius will date all kinds of different people. Usually Venus and Aquarius won't necessarily have a type. And if they do seem to have a type, well, it could just be from the outside not looking in, because they tend to date very different mentalities. So they are very open to people's different thoughts and ideas, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to change their own in a relationship. It's kind of like that Saturn ruling, right? They do sometimes have like rigid beliefs when it comes to relationships or how they want their relationships to be. So, Venus and Aquarius is very independent. They very much like know what they want. They know how they want to live their life. They know what that brings them joy and what brings them pleasure, and they have a really keen understanding of this, and rarely are they willing to change, for somebody. They kind of need the person, their partner, to be just as eccentric and spontaneous as them. It really isn't necessary because Aquarius Venus can be a very extreme kind of person. They can like very different, like taboo kinds of things, or have niche likes or niche hobbies that you wouldn't even expect from them, right? When you're dating a Venus in Aquarius, you really are getting one of those Russian dolls, that have like a doll inside of a doll inside of a doll. Like, you can go very, very deep with these people and not even realize that they're this deep, because they, naturally kind of have this aloofness or this like distance, between them and other people that, you just can't quite pin down. But it's not personal. It's just kind of how they love. They have this very spacious love. It's kind of like a coexistent kind of love, They aren't the types to rush into anything usually. They they just like a lot of personal independence and space. They value freedom. They value whatever they particularly value. They might have some kind of rigid belief system, like I was saying, and or they might have some kind of controversial belief system or ideas or set of ideas. They can be very revolutionary in the way that they date and the way that they have relationships. They will defy all odds when they are in love. There's really no like, for Venus and Aquarius, it can feel at times like an all or nothing energy, but they will like go back and forth mentally a lot. So, Venus and Aquarius are prone to, anxiety, relational anxiety, insecure attachment, avoidant attachment styles. they have a lot of uh, thoughts going on, and because Aquarius exalts in Mercury, so they have like even if they seem to be aloof or detached from you while in a friendship or a relationship, trust me, they are probably deeply thinking about literally every single thing that you both possibly could have like said in the past conversation that you had 2 days ago, and they're probably still assessing it and analyzing it to an extent, and still contemplating it and or creating a mental understanding around it. They're very thoughtful. So Venus Aquarius are very thoughtful. They can be very practical too. They kind of just know what you like or what you want pretty fast, um, if they're tuned in. If a Venus in Aquarius is not interested, it's pretty obvious because they will take no time. Because Venus in Aquarius has a lot of projects and hobbies and things they want to do and spontaneous ideas that they get, and that they want to work on. And, like they always have some kind of, you know, hobby or different kind of thing that, is making them, money or making them feel content or happy. And if they can share that with their partner, their unique hobby, that's when a Venus Aquarius will feel very, very happy because their unique hobbies aren't usually, very likely to be found in other people. So when a Venus Aquarius can really align with somebody in some kind of unique way, they really hold on to that and they really do see that. It's that deep mental understanding of like enjoying and loving the same things that Venus Aquarius just really, really loves in other people. They love sharing, like I was saying, their revolutionary ideas or their belief systems. They love sharing that with somebody. They love having the same ones, but not like forcing it on somebody. They're not the type to force anyone to think a certain way, usually. They're not the type to force their will onto people. They can be very go with the flow in relationships, and they actually will be okay with abrupt changes or switch ups or things. It's not that they will emotionally not hurt about it, but they can take that step back and detach really easily to get that objective perspective of the relationship or the friendship. And but Venus Aquarius has a lot of learning to do when it comes to efficient communication, just because they're thinking so much about the relationships, and they're very thoughtful about what they enjoy and what they love, and their minds are really set on that, and they can be very set on whatever, very set, like with that fixed air. They can be really set mentally around something like a tornado. I always use Aquarius, kind of always feels kind of like a tornado energy, right? Swirling around one particular point over and over and over again until it comes into mastery. So a Venus in Aquarius does well with partners that kind of keep them thinking, kind of keep them guessing, and sometimes that's the downfall of them, is that they will get into relationships with people that are just kind of peculiar, or they just can't quite understand, and they probably never will understand because that person might not even want to be understood by the Venus Aquarius. Like they can attract avoidant types because they themselves will have avoidance issues within themselves, just because they know how deeply they think. So one of the ways they cope will be from detaching or disassociating. These people can have issues with feeling their own emotions towards people. They try to, create a mental understanding rather than go into the feeling of it. This is kind of the Aquarius, like a Venus in Aquarius and Venus Taurus, for example, like that wouldn't be the best, with that square, just because Venus Taurus is a very visceral, heartfelt, a gooey, gooey, traditional lover, and the Venus in Aquarius is like, I'm wild, I'm free, do you want to be wild and free with me? Or like I said, they can be traditional in some ways, but very rarely they are. From my own practice, what I've seen, very very rarely they are. They always have their particular peculiar things about the way that they deal with relationships, and they like a Venus Aquarius, for example, might be somebody that marries somebody that lives in another country. They might, and especially if they have like a lot of Sag placements, or maybe they've got obscure Gemini placements here or there, or just a lot of air in the chart generally, they really can be that detached that it doesn't really affect them, as long as there's that mental understanding with the partner, right? The partner and or the friend, right? Whoever they're associating with them, there needs to be some kind of depthful understanding of like, and it's almost kind of like some sort of like overall like mission statement, because a Venus in Aquarius is really important for them to have some kind of um, higher purpose, like kind of like a Venus in Sag, but a little bit less chaotic, more of like a higher purpose or like reason that they're building the relationship. It has to be kind of like a mental understanding, like, oh, we're doing this because for our future generations, or there's kind of like a futuristic element to the Venus in Aquarius where they want their partner to want the same future as them, but it's a very unique, particular vision that not a lot of people just have. The Venus in Aquarius has this wonderful, wonderful imagination and uh, ability to visualize, if they choose to use it correctly, the potential realities that they can create just through their minds, right? So this is a futuristic love. Venus and Aquarius will have kind of relationships, or they can have relationships if they choose to, that are futuristic in nature, right? That defies labels, that defies physical limitations. They will defy all limitations that are set by society, and they will create their own path in love and their own path in relationships and friendships. They do not care what you have to say. At the end of the day, they are going to be free in their choices and their decisions of what they're doing in their relationship, and they're not very affected or even like very, very caring of what society thinks, what they were brought up to be around. And this could be another thing with the Venus Aquarius. They can grow up sometimes with like rigid belief systems around like marriage or relationships, and that can also be a root of why they're wanting to kind of rebel or do something different, just because they naturally feel different. They just feel different, and that's actually how Venus and Aquarius magnetizes things to them, is by just simply being the different person they are, even though it's outlandish in certain ways, right? Like, a Venus and Aquarius type of person is type of person to love skiing, but they also love being nude, and they're a nudist, and maybe they do nude skiing, and it's this whole thing, like they don't care, like obviously they wouldn't a Venus in Aquarius is not the type to put themselves out there and make a fool of themselves, because they do value the collective consensus to an extent. How I'm gonna explain this deeper so it doesn't seem like I'm contradicting myself, because Aquarius is a very contradictory energy. Aquarius is always contradicting itself, always. So this is probably why this is I'm kind of at a loss for words with them sometimes. But I love them. I do love them very dearly. I love every sign, every planet. It's all a beautiful expression, right? But with Venus and Aquarius, they will contradict themselves, right? A Venus in Aquarius might think, oh, I want to have, I want to date two people at once, but then they might also be like, I actually want to be single, and they might feel these two thoughts at the same exact time. But to go back onto the nude skiing, I would say Venus in Aquarius is very aloof and kind of more of like a background. Like they will get lost in a crowd. They'll kind of sit back and observe. They're not like a Venus in Leo where they'll put themselves out there and kind of just shine out and be like, this is me. It's the opposition. So they'll kind of be like the unique person that's kind of in the background, that you know is really cool and aloof, and everybody might be watching that like Venus and Leo, or that Aries Sun person over there, right? They might be having their attention on to them, but if you get lucky enough to have a conversation with a Venus Aquarius, because they're oftentimes, they're so deep in their own minds and their own thoughts, formulating these ideas and projects and things they want to do in their lives, and uh, what they want to create, and these spontaneous travel plans, and they're just, their minds are everywhere with like creation and what they want. So well, if you get the chance and you get the opportunity, because it's truly an opportunity to really talk to a Venus Aquarius and get past their their Aquarian layers, right? Because Venus Aquarius is very in tune with people and the collective, like I was saying. So they generally understand the constructs of society and the constructs around them, and they know how to sift through them, but they also have the capability, when consciously aware, to detach from them and to realize what is truly them and what is not them. So that's kind of the point that I'm making, is they are in tune with society, they are in tune with the general consensus, the structures of our reality. They have a really good sense for that. But at the same time, they either unconsciously or consciously just don't care or detach, because it just, it impedes on their freedom, and freedom is very important for a Venus and Aquarius. So that was the point I was getting at, and hopefully that made sense. And if it's like I said, if it seems like I'm contradicting myself a little bit with this sign, it's just because Venus and Aquarius in general is just a very contradictory energy, especially being in Venus. Venus and Aquarius can have issues receiving love, actually, and receiving recognition. They can sometimes feel like people don't see them for their talents and what they're creating, and oftentimes it's because maybe they're not ready to show it to the world, and they're in their own kind of creation lab of doing things and working on things that they might not care to share, or they might just generally be in their heads about what they're creating, and choose not to share. It really depends on the chart. If there's Leo oppositions, if there's Capricorn, if it's Pisces Sun. I know a few different people. I know Pisces Sun with Aquarius Venus, like this is personal knowings, like deep interpersonal relationships. So I would say Pisces Sun with Aquarius Venus expresses different, right? Capricorn Sun with Aquarius Venus expresses very different. Aquarius Sun with Aquarius Venus expresses very, very different, because then you got that Sun and that Venus. If it's in conjunction, person could have some kind of Libran energy to an extent, even though it's very Aquarian nature. They might actually do very well and thrive in relationships, but their relationships are very eccentric, all over the place, random meetings and random spots. They might meet one of their best friends on a plane or something like that. It's like they really have this opportunity as a Venus Aquarius to meet just about anyone, and to feel, and basically just about anyone can feel accepted by a Venus Aquarius, because a Venus Aquarius mentally has pretty much gone almost everywhere. They really go there in their minds. And so when somebody really opens up their minds and their mentality to a Venus Aquarius, they might have their own belief systems, but they usually kind of keep their belief systems to themselves, for you to slowly understand, because they kind of just live by them naturally through their creation, and in their relationships it will show more and more what they truly stand for. And it's actually really important for Venus and Aquarius to have, like I was saying before, have some kind of ultimate, like, higher collective humanitarian mission statement with their partner, like doing charity work with their partner, or doing something like for a fundraiser, or I could even see a Venus and Aquarius going to foreign countries to like rebuild the nations with their partner. Like, this is a really good sign to do humanitarian work with a friend or a partner, and to really have those higher mission statements and collective goals with somebody that they really love and that just gets them. Because Venus and Aquarius, it is it's kind of like you get them or you don't get them. And if a Venus in Aquarius, if you're listening to this, if somebody just doesn't get you, then they don't get you, and like don't try to force them to get you, because the people that get you, they get you. But I will say, it does take the right kind of person to be patient with the Venus in Aquarius, because just that Saturn element to them, they do take time to kind of unravel, unfold. They're just so busy in their minds and busy in their projects, and they're doing all these different things for work and for money and for creativity. Um, it can be a lot. So, but back to the kind of the unconscious tendencies and shadows, yeah, because of that Saturn aspect, they can have that difficulty with receiving love or receiving compliments or receiving recognition. I don't think it's I don't feel like it's because they don't feel that they're deserving of it, truly. Sometimes it's just because they would prefer just to do their own process at their own pace in their own way. And like if somebody notices or sees it, then somebody notices it or sees it. And it's kind of like it is what it is. They can have that detachment to even their own creations or their own work. Depending on the chart. And that's a really good gift for Venus and Aquarius is, taking spontaneous chances or risks with different lines of work or jobs, opportunities. Like a Venus and Aquarius can jump from being maybe like a cruise ship salesman to like a painter kind of thing. They have an array of gifts and talents that they can just unlock through their own solitude and just through sitting with themselves and their minds. They have a lot of hidden talents and gifts that can come out when around the right people that are, just as unique and in their own individuality and as authentic as a Venus Aquarius needs to be reminded that they are. And they're reminded this through the relationship. So again, it's really important while in relationship to be around those kinds of people that do inspire you and make you feel comfortable to be yourself, Venus and Aquarius. Um, because who you are is a lot and very complex and sometimes contradictory in nature, but that's okay. And it takes time for people to know you, and that's okay too. So Venus and Aquarius, very kind, very friendly. They can be very funny in their very subtle, unique ways. They might come off serious at first, or like kind of shy, or some sort of reservedness to their hearts or to their love and affection. They can Venus and Aquarius doesn't tend to be very affectionate. Um, they might not even be like physically affectionate in particular, like kind of like again like a Venus and Taurus, or like an Earth placement might be more touchy. Um, but or even like a fire Venus might be a little bit more touchy or like on the spot, like all over you, grabbing you. A Venus in Aquarius has this need for space. It's a lot of space. They need a lot of space to breathe, to be in their own minds, to be in their own creation. It's spaciousness. It's the air element of them, spaciousness. So Venus and Aquarius, take your time, make sure you're comfortable, make sure you're around people that are like-minded and or, kind of inspire you in a way. Venus and Aquarius loves to be mentally inspired. Being around people that are mentally encouraging or mentally inspiring, positive affirmations, mental, maybe even a friend that really takes notice and can compliment and truly, write and tell you and have long conversations to you about what you love and what you're creating. It's really important. It's really, really important. And Venus Aquarius, um, I will say they are very sweet. They are very sweet. They can be friends with anybody all around the world. They're really good travelers. They're very good worldly people. They generally have a very deep care for the world, or um, depending on whether Venus Aquarius is at on a consciousness level, they may be still coming to grips with the reality of the world. So they're very in tune with the world, the structures of it, the way it works, and it can be very heartbreaking for them. You know, if you want to know a Venus in Aquarius deeply, then know what they care about on a humanitarian level, what's bothering them about society, what's irritating. Like get to know their minds, and what causes and what cares they have towards certain things, and especially towards society at large, because they have huge hearts for all of society. It's kind of funny. They love the world and they have a deep care for the world, but they also, have this such a detachment from it at the same time, and just that Saturn Uranus energy, and it's at one time Venus and Aquarius can feel so much love for culture, for different philosophies, for different religions. They can feel they're expansive from it, and they also can quickly and mentally assess and understand the downfalls of it, and that can break their heart just as much. They're not very quick to be blindsided by anyone. They don't really play games. They're pretty direct about what they want, and if they're indirect, it's because they're telling you what they want by telling you nothing. So, I will say with Venus and Aquarius, silence speaks louder than words from them. Their silence is usually telling you exactly where they're at, because if a Venus in Aquarius is truly interested or pursuing, they take no time at all to mentally try to investigate and understand you, and they can quickly see that if you're interested as well, because they'll pick up on your own curiosities with them. Because trust me, if you get involved with a Venus in Aquarius, friendship or otherwise, they will get your curiosity piqued, and you will want to ask them lots of questions, because they will have a lot of answers and insight that you didn't even know they were possibly even thinking about. So these people are peculiar, eccentric, loving. They are very loving, though. They are very, very loving, and they're very realistic with things in life and love in a way that can be very grounding. But again, it's that Uranus aspect. So they do like spontaneity in relationships. They do like they do like random dates and random surprises, and let's go. Maybe they're like, let's go skiing. Maybe not nude this time, but let's go skiing and bake some cookies after, and then when you go to bake the cookies, their partner's like, oh, I planned a trip to Greece in a month. Like they like things that are just different and unique, and like kind of one of a kind experiences. So they will try like float tanks, or different like cultural foods, things like that. They will like to try. If you're not sure how to properly date a Venus and Aquarius, give them an authentic, unique, expansive experience that it could be even obscure to an extent, like having a lunch date next to a shark tank, right? Or maybe you learn how to weave a basket together and take a basket weaving class, right? They like things like that, but you have to take the time to really get to know them, because once you get to know them, it's those little niche things that they like that you have to focus on and nurture, and that's how you care for a Venus and Aquarius, is you really care about their hobbies, their causes, their humanitarian things that they're working on, their unique niche things that they got their minds on, which it's so different for each one too. So the examples really could be limitless, and I'm probably you know I would love to even hear from a Venus and Aquarius in the comments below, like, what are you into lately, what are your passions lately, because I'm sure if we had enough Venus and Aquarius, the comments, they would all be so drastically different and so drastically niche and unique that we would all be like, wait, that's a thing? Like, somebody might say, I love building wells in people's backyards. We're like, oh, that's a hobby. You would never guess it, right? But it's, that's the thing about them. It's like a very quirky energy. They can be very quirky, very fun. Very, very fun. It's a very fun Venus sign. Once you get past those little layers, right? Once a Venus in Aquarius truly just accepts themselves for their own uniqueness and, they might feel kind of like a slight alien sometimes in relationships. Like, oh, they might, on a unconscious level, they might feel like, oh, this person just doesn't get me. Like they do struggle with this feeling of like being misunderstood or feeling misunderstood. But Venus in Aquarius, I do urge you, if you feel if it's right and you feel comfortable enough, to take the chance on telling people or asking people what they're thinking or how they're really feeling about you, so you don't have to, do that thing where you detach or dissociate or, get lost in your own head. Because clarity is a beautiful thing, mental clarity is a beautiful thing, and you can have mental clarity. If you want mental clarity in your relationships, all you have to do is ask, all you have to do is have those conversations. But they're not always the easiest ones, because Venus in Aquarius does have a lot of mental assumptions they have to sift through, and mental blockages sometimes with relationships, because they just are, again, it's just such a mental sign that sometimes the mind will try to convince them about something about a relationship that is untrue, just because they're just naturally overthinkers. And so Venus and Aquarius, this is Venus you're working with. So, take that time to communicate to the other person and get their insight before you make assumptions. It's just going to really help in the long term, because you are a really good friend and a really good person and you are really caring. But not everybody can tell that if you don't express it and communicate it. Oh my goodness. And this is coming from a Venus in Leo, right? So this is my opposition, and I love them dearly. They teach me very, very much. They teach me a lot. So that is Venus in Aquarius. Gotta love them. They are so again and again and again fun. Very, very fun and mentally stimulating to be around. Venus and Pisces. Oh, I've been wanting to get to Venus and Pisces in this series for a little while. And now here we are at the last sign. So if you've listened to all the signs this far, welcome to this channel, because this is going to be a really, really good one. Venus exalts in Pisces. And exaltations can also be synonymous with exhaustion. Venus and Pisces are known to love too much. And for Venus and Pisces, they might even say, is that possible? Can I really love too much? That's not actually not possible, because I actually have infinite love to give. And it's true, Venus in Pisces has infinite love to give. They have this natural inclination to soul merge, not just soul merge in a way that Libra does through thoughts and through mirroring body language and through their natural communion and harmonization. They will soul merge in a way that is not only karmic but rooted deeply in spirit, and they do this without trying. There's no need to try for Venus and Pisces. They naturally attract soul bonds all the time. It's very easy for them to meet their best friends in this lifetime, to meet their very, 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 their soul tribe, their soulmate, their twin flame. Pisces Venus is it's common for them to be on a twin flame journey or some kind of thing like that, because the depth of their love transcends all physical reality. And so Venus in Pisces will never judge their partner or their friends for what they have or what they don't have, or really anything. They have this natural process and natural loving aura around them that is so receptive to other people's energy, truly energy and emotions, that they will take it in like a sponge. And this is where Venus in Pisces needs to see that they do take it in all like a sponge. They take it all in, all of that other, right? Venus is other. They bring in all of the other energy into their selves, into their souls. And Venus in Pisces, is important to take time to cleanse your aura, to cleanse your space. Venus in Pisces is highly sexual, because sexual energy is one of the closest ways to get spiritually close to another person. So they really do enjoy the act of it on every level. And oftentimes, though it can be, it can be lustful, oftentimes and most times it is deeper than that for them, even if there's not a label, right? They Venus and Pisces is very flowing, so they don't always need a label. They don't always feel it's necessary to rush things or put labels on things or try to box people in. They really do have this aura around them, and that is like a come as you are aura. And people can really rest in a Pisces Venus's aura and energy, and feel safe and accepted. One of the Venus in Pisces is aware of their own intake of energy, because a Venus in Pisces can be prone to drama, to emotional upheaval, to illusions, right? Very deep illusions in love. This is the lower, not the lower, I want to just say the karmic aspects of it, just because Venus in Pisces is here to clear and to finish as much relational karma as possible in this lifetime. Pretty much finish it all in this lifetime. If you're Venus in Pisces, especially, a 12 degree, 24 degree Venus in Pisces, or even an N degree, maybe a 29 degree also might especially feel this way. You are here to finish it this lifetime. So Venus in Pisces, it's important to take everything that you're feeling, to sit with it, and to cleanse yourself. And how a Venus in Pisces can know that somebody is correct for them or right for them is oftentimes if they're around that person and then take time away, and then that time away, they're drinking fresh pressed juice, or they're like saging their room and meditating, whatever it is, because the Venus in Pisces naturally, very spiritual. Especially they have naturally spiritual, they will attract naturally spiritual people around them. But yeah, once they do all those things and they're back into their own aura, because it takes time for Venus and Pisces to know the difference between their own aura, their own energy, and somebody else's. And most of their lives, they really struggle knowing the difference. That's why cleansing and detoxing and spiritual practices like pranayama are just so vital to a Venus and Pisces, so they can decipher the truth of a relationship. It's important for a Venus in Pisces to be open to the flow of a relationship. They really just naturally are, anyways. But to let things flow and to surrender to no outcome, no expectations, and just to allow your soul to guide you is the most important thing, is the highest thing that you can do. Venus and Pisces, you have a lot of endings that you are going to go through in this lifetime in your relationship, some very significant endings that will completely transform your soul and bring you closer to a divine higher power. And it is almost indescribable the amount of ecstasy and divinity a Venus and Pisces can feel whilst in relationship or even friendship. They can really tap into realms and dimensions and into different psychic visions. You know, Venus and Pisces might even, you know, get into a certain relationship and or some kind of exchange with somebody, and all of a sudden, you know, their dreams, they're dreaming more than ever, or their visions are deeper than ever, right? Venus and Pisces, it's important for you to meditate and to sit with your visions and to sit with your dreams and to sit and to take it very seriously, because of Venus and Pisces, when you know, you know. And there is a lot of sweet surrender, again, a lot of sweet surrender that you will have to come to over and over and over again until you are so tapped into your higher self or to your higher power that you have no choice but to let go and trust that. Because a Venus in Pisces is quick to tap into some kind of divine resource or some kind of divine power while in relationship or even friendships, and they will outsource their own spiritual power, their own spiritual gifts to somebody else, because they will have this illusion that this person is maybe a messiah, or this person is going to save me, or this person, you know, this person means so well, and they'll really just see a person's soul so deeply that even when it becomes very dark or chaotic for, you know, others, it might seem like too much, but for a Venus and Pisces, they can take it all. They really can take it all, and it's kind of like a bring it on without even any force. It's just they're so receptive in love and relationships that there's this boundless, unconditionally love they have for people in general, and the world and nature, children, animals. They have just a very deep compassion for life. And when Venus and Pisces can be very lucky, they can receive, you know, random amounts of money out of nowhere, literally, random opportunities. They're very quick to share, though. They're very giving. They'll give with people very easily. It's just in their nature. And so Venus and Pisces, something that you need to do is always care for your spirit. You know, it does go deeper than the body for you. And a Venus in Pisces that is in denial of that will continue to live in that cycle of downward spiraling in relationships. It's like, it can be very cyclical. It can be a very cyclical thing they go through. Emotional ups and downs. They can be easily addicted. Venus and Pisces might even, you know, get addicted to drugs easily, or, you know, with their partner do that. They can be really quick to attach to sensations or emotions that make them feel high or ecstasy or divine or powerful or spiritually some kind of way, and then they will continue to go to that same external source that is giving them that sense of feeling, and put their power into that external source. Whereas Venus and Pisces, you have to remember the source is within. The source is within. You are everything. You can attract anything. And your relationships are a direct mirror. A direct mirror. So that's why there's not many boundaries for this placement. So, if a Venus in Pisces can learn anything in this lifetime, it is, boundaries, but loving boundaries, compassionate boundaries. I think a Venus in Pisces, they can be victims of abuse, manipulation, narcissistic abuse, just because of the illusionary aspect to this placement. They can get caught up in illusions of reality, of a relationship or of a friendship or even a business partnership or a job opportunity. They can get very attached and outsource their power, their innate power and magnetism onto that external thing. And Venus and Pisces, you can let go. Venus and Pisces, you can really let go and surrender to the universe and have it all at the same time. But you have to listen to your intuition, and you have to be very, very keen to those emotional cycles that you go through, those emotional waves you go through, those addictive behaviors you have to certain emotions, because a Venus in Pisces is so receptive, and they are so willing, while in partnership or friendship, to go through the more difficult emotions, painful emotions, because they just have this ultimate overflowing wealth of love and compassion that it's very innate and instinctual for them to just know within themselves that love is pain, and they really are they either are learning to be okay with that, or they are okay with that. And that is something that a Venus in Pisces does come into mastery with, is they come into mastery with the pain, the depth of the pain that they can feel through loss, whether it's breakups or death or whatever kind of feeling of separation, right? Pisces and Venus, Venus and Pisces, Pisces and Venus, Venus and Pisces, does not like the feeling of separation. Venus and Pisces, this is exaltation. This is ultimate union. These people really are meant, like I had been saying, they are meant to have that soul union, to feel soul tribe, to reconnect with past life lovers and friends of all sorts. They will walk this earth with beings they have known for lifetimes again in this life. But Venus and Pisces, you have to make that call based off of your keen connection with your own intuition when it is time to let go, because there is a lot of letting go that you are meant for in this lifetime, and it can feel like a lot of time you don't have a choice. It's definitely an ultimate surrender that they come to, or that you come to, depending if you're listening to this for a Venus and Pisces or as a Venus and Pisces. Then you will understand that relationships or even jobs or friendships will get to this point where it's like you it will really feel like your ego has no choice but to let go. And there might not be a backup plan. There might not be another relationship in line for you or another friendship to back up yourself onto. It might feel like you have no backing, nothing, but you know you have to let go, right? You know you have to let go. And you can let go in different ways. Letting go is an extreme phrase at times because it doesn't necessarily always mean to completely cut off or to disassociate, but it can mean to let go of the what you thought something was. So maybe you loved the way that you were making money, you loved the job that you were doing. And Venus and Pisces are oftentimes artists or creators, sculptors, maybe chefs, maybe even photographers, things like that. Venus and Pisces has really, really, really in tune with beauty and the beauty of nature, cosmos, and the universe. They can tune into the beauty within people and outside of people. They really see people in their fullness, and it's because they feel people. They feel them in their fullness. There's no boundaries here. So Venus and Pisces is loving in a tender, empathetic, truly empathetic, true empath way. And sometimes they can extend their empathy to a point of exhausting their own spirit or their own soul. And Venus and Pisces, you cannot do the spiritual work for other people as much as you know that you have the love inside you to be with them and to hold them for lifetimes. They really do have this capacity to hold people emotionally that is incredible, truly. When a Venus in Pisces is, especially when a Venus in Pisces is conscious and aware of their gifts to receive and to be receptive to others, they will learn that their energy is precious. It is very, very, it's precious. It's like gold or cosmic stardust. It's the amount of compassion you feel is life-giving to people. And it feels good to you as well to give that endless compassion. It feels like you're living your purpose, and it can be like soul fulfilling. So that is a really beautiful thing about Venus and Pisces. Venus and Pisces Venus and Pisces is truly a beautiful placement. It's a full union with whoever they're around, whoever they're in relationship with. It's almost like no words can encapsulate the kind of love they can really feel in this lifetime if they let themselves get to that point. But they have to keep letting go of all love that is not taking them to their soul, to a higher vibration, to their inner remembrance. It really is that deep. And a Venus in Pisces that's in denial of that is usually in a lot of illusions, and they are so sensitive and tender that the only person that can wake up a Venus in Pisces and have them let go, or have them change, or have them alter their creative flow, or whatever they're currently creating, because they're very creative, whatever they're currently creating in their lives, through their lives, there's no way to push them or force them into anything. They unconsciously are always guided, and they may have some very earth and world defying love stories, and or will have, if they just let go of what they thought was love and let in more of the nurturing, sensitive, soul-fulfilling love that returns them back to a place of peace. Because Venus in Pisces, you're meant to feel ultimate peace, especially in relationships, especially into older age. They really grow into this. But eventually Venus in Pisces realizes they are on a spiritual journey, and they are empaths, and they are here to clear lifetimes worth of karma. And they realize Venus and Pisces do all come to some kind of spiritual epiphany through their relationships. So I really admire their compassion for others, and I beg Venus and Pisces to have more compassion for yourself, and to not be afraid to hold your partners or your friends accountable for what you need or what you feel, because what you feel is very, very important and very, very real, and you deserve the space to show those emotions and show your sensitivity and show your psychic gifts and share your spiritual feelings and the spiritual things that you're feeling that sometimes you can't even fully describe, but you know you're feeling. It's a truly beautiful placement, this is. So that is the last sign of the Venus through the Signs series. If you liked this video, like, subscribe, and share. Tell me, did you resonate with your Venus sign? And maybe there is some questions you may have. Go ahead and drop those in the comments. I'd love to answer them or discuss them or nerd out over astrology every day, all day with you. Until next time, peace.